Are we live? Hello? Hello, everyone. My name is Trups LP, and welcome to another iteration, another episode. Episode. Let's go with episode. Welcome to another episode of our political recap. I am your host, Trups LP, for the week, and joining me, as always, is the unsniffed Omegon. Say hello, Omegon.
If I was smart, I would have grabbed my new bottle of whiskey, opened it, and popped the cork on air.
Ah, that's all right. I'm not drinking this
Give me
evening. Well,
10,
I
give
am
me 10
drinking,
seconds.
but
I
I'm...
got this. There we go.
See, not as satisfying, but
It's not a cork one. It's Slipknot's number 9 batch. It's got a rubber cork. Disappointed.
That's
Sorry.
all right. I'm drinking Arnold Palmer half and half.
I have no idea what that is.
It's half sweet tea, half lemonade.
I still don't know what that is. It does not compute.
That's all right. It's basically just sweet drink, summer
Okay,
drink.
okay.
Very, very, very popular.
Over there, perhaps, yes.
Yes. Arnold
Over
Palmer
here,
is
we
American.
like this thing called water.
Regular tea. Oh, I have that too.
Not in the summer. I know people say, oh, it makes you cooler to have a hot drink. No, it fucking doesn't. You're a fucking div.
Yeah, because you know what I want on a fucking cold ass snowy day? Big old glass of ice water.
Honestly, it's
No,
that. It's
no
the
one
sa-
says that.
It's the same bollocks people say when they come up with, oh, a nice cold drink will cool you down too. No, it'll make you sick. Shut the fuck up. Go back to licking windows. Sorry if I sound a bit rude, but I'm quite annoyed by people continually saying this.
That's okay.
Room temperature. That's what you want your drink at.
Arnold Palmer is horrendous. No one asked you.
back to window licking for you.
Shots. No,
how's-
we're not doing shots. I have.
No. Not until the
I have
debates.
issues with that.
How was Trups LP this week?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I don't have to work as much overtime, but I still have to work a little bit harder than usual.
Why's that?
So, just schedules.
Oh, okay.
Basically, like things got to get done at a certain time and
Right.
all that.
Okay.
Garbage.
It's all right then.
It's more of just a consequence of being a contractor.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay. I chose the job and it pays well, so.
Oh, you and I differ greatly. I didn't get to choose my job.
Yes.
I just stuck it out because I
Oh,
couldn't
you
get a
have the
job.
communist system.
No. I had the either I do this or I end up working in a factory with no pay.
Oh well, fair enough. I think I understand.
I think I chose. It was a system in 2014 when I decided. The neighbor at the time started giving me work, and I was like, either this or I work for 6 months for B&Q, getting paid 0 for 6 months, and be expected to also look for work at the same time while working full time for nothing. I think
What
I'll-
is B&Q?
hardware store. A very large hardware store. The UK has a lot of them. They're like massive warehouse things that sell doors and walls and all the tools.
Ah, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We've got plenty of those.
Cool. And I chose self-employment because I was like, fuck that shit. You guys couldn't help me when I asked for help. You gave me this as an
Honestly,
answer.
I would like to see more self-employment, but not in the sense like, oh, it's just you. I would like to see more entrepreneurial ventures.
I'd like to.
I would like to
yeah,
see people
I'd be for
make
those.
shit, you know?
Yeah, I'd like that. I still think it's somewhat entrepreneurial to do what one has.
I mean,
done
I think a
anyway.
lot of self-employment is that way.
Yeah.
I would like to see more people like make businesses. Right now, obviously, can't really do that because COVID is basically gimping everybody who tries to be self-sustaining. Unless you do IT advising as a independent or self-employed contractor, because apparently if you advertise that you do like IT consulting, a bunch of people who are now currently working from home will call you and pay you to make sure their shit works.
Woot.
I don't do that. I should do that.
You should. How's the heat over there, by the way? Hello? Oh,
Heat over here.
yeah, heat, weather.
Um, it's really kind of messed up because um, we in the south part of the United States we have every day it's either what's it called sunny in the morning and raining
Right.
in the afternoon. That's usually what the circumstance is.
Oh.
So it cools down the area a lot.
Okay. It's been
So
pretty...
we'll have mornings and afternoons that basically go up to like 96 degrees,
Yeah.
and then by like midday, a big ass storm will come around, and it'll just automatically just wipe out all of the heat, and the humidity is gone, and then the next day it'll repeat. It does that pretty much all the time.
We haven't had that. We've had all the last week and a half, I'd say, solid heat, day and night. And last night, right about, I'd say 10, I couldn't, my internet just crashed. And I sat for about 5 minutes in my bed with the lights off, everything off, except for the printer that was making something for my dad. And I put my camera on, aimed it at the window, and I heard no thunder, none. But all I saw were flashes, constant flashes, but no thunder, which is the strangest thing I've ever seen before.
Oh, it's heat lightning.
It must have been, because it's really cool today. To the
Was
point,
it like red?
I don't know. I couldn't see. I didn't. My windows had these films on, so I don't need curtains.
No.
It was just constant flashing, and I took some video of it, but I didn't get any of the arcs or anything because I couldn't see out my windows.
A lot of whenever I've seen heat lightning, usually it's in like around now in the summer kind of thing. I'll usually see it like really high in the clouds, and it's usually like this red tinge.
Oh right.
And basically, it's more like just upper atmosphere shit going on. I don't know if heat lightning ever comes down, honestly, but this is tangential.
Well, I do feel like this is now a very British stream, and I feel very much at home because we're not talking about the weather.
Oh yes, cloudy. Sometimes it rains. Yeah,
Well,
it should be pretty British.
We didn't have to have the aircon on today downstairs because of it. That's how much it
good.
cooled. That's great
Less
news.
suffering for you.
They're suffering from them. For them, I don't have any upstairs.
Right. Well, therefore less suffering for you.
Well, to an extent, I still suffer. Never mind.
Now, before we get into the Biden-Harris thing, do you want to give us like a brief overview with what's going on in the UK? I saw you posted another SMP video this week. How'd that go?
They get views.
The fucking dickheads.
They are. It's kind of funny. The SNP are getting worse. People are now starting to accuse Sturgeon of playing politics with not with the country's safety. And
well, that's what you
when
get
it comes
for
to
being named after a fish.
For example, she's forcing. She wants the UK to instigate a 14-day quarantine for anyone coming back from France tomorrow. But that doesn't actually start till Sunday. She's trying to force it through for Scots though, and that could cause more problems. You had grades. Fucking hell, oh, this is great. So people obviously haven't been going to school, so their grades have been estimated. They were estimated by whichever governing body did it. Now, teachers had suggested they do it based on the grades of the individual up to that point. Now, that's an interesting point because if I had gone to school now, I would not have gotten as many straight A's as I got. I would have gotten significant, if it was based on this system, I would have gotten far less because I didn't do any of the work. I just turned up for the exams and got 100%.
So does this hurt people who actually, like, do well?
Well, the system they've introduced instead does, and has. In Scotland, it hurt them because there were students who were, up until that point, straight A students, but because of location, and like an average was generated, and then they were downgraded. which is known to have affected over 125,000 students in Scotland. It's affected about 1 million, possibly more, in the rest of the UK because they downgraded everyone with this bullshit system that doesn't actually. If it was done based on the grades of the person, I'd understand. Up to that point, I kind of get it. I would, because if you just coasted it and then thought, "Oh, I'll just do all right in the exam," well, you've just been caught out, mate. Sorry. That would have fucked me personally. But I kind of get that idea. I think that's a fairer way compared to the other option, which was to do some kind of average in region and then downgrade it. I think, interestingly, this hasn't actually too badly affected those going to university. In fact, more are going, and that's because universities have in turn, started because they don't have many EU students coming here anymore. Obviously, there are more spots. They need to fill the spots. So they're welcoming people in with lesser grades, which is fantastic, of course, to give people a second chance. There were comparisons for the Education Secretary. They compared him to what was it? To some comedy, a black and white comedy. What was his name? Frank, wasn't it?
Charlie Chaplin?
No. I think it was compared to Frank Spencer. That's it. So people might not know who this. Do you know who Frank Spencer is?
No, I have no idea.
Frank Spencer in comedy was like this. I don't know. He looks very similar, to be fair. He was this very clumsy, very stupid, very gormless, and always fucked things up kind of person. Had a very soft voice though, kind of made him iconic. And that's what people are comparing the Education Secretary to now, for being so clumsy with the handling of this. Oh, and it's estimated, is it 250,000 A-level students? So those would be senior year for you guys. 18-year-olds, is that senior year?
Yeah,
right.
17, 18.
Yeah, that's what A-level is. So 40% of the marks released today were downgraded from the teachers' recommended grades because the government is using a, air quotes, algorithm to calculate results. I had this sneaky feeling this might be a little tinfoil hatty, but since it's Conservatives, I think it's quite possible. I'd like to see the grades for Eton, please. I just want to see if they've done this at all fairly based on an algorithm, or whether they've just given Eton the best grades so they can get into, either Cambridge, Oxford, or...
I assume Eton is the rich area?
Eton is... if you don't go to Eton, you're an oik. You're a peasant. You're a pleb. You are... Well, oik, actually, is the correct word.
Ah, yes.
It's the one that Boris went to. It's the very posh school. It's... Yeah, Etonians generally operate in higher echelons of society. Let's go with that. It's a very, very well-known private school in this country. If you have one in your country, yeah, it's a rip-off of Eton. They screwed up Harrow and Eton. Yes. Sorry, but I'm okay with them young people suffering because I didn't have to go through this air quotes algorithm. I am going to do a video addressing this, by the way, properly, because obviously it's not right that I just sit here and rail on the SNP week in and week out, which I can do happily, to be fair. Hang on. The like button. Love me, I'm lonely. Thank you for the £3 donation. That's very kind of you. I tend to think, and Discanar's actually nailed this, so in university, if you fail your exams during the summer, you are permitted to resit, which is normal, except for third year, of course. You resit your exams, but they're capped off at a pass grade only. So as long as you get the pass grade, you're fine. You don't ever get higher than that, though. I think that they should instead permit these students to sit their exams during the summer recess and have it spread out over a period of time. Granted, some will have more time to revise, but it doesn't mean they actually do it. It just means they have more time to prepare for something they probably won't put any time into anyway. So I don't believe I do anyway. Let's see. Oh yeah, so many are blaming. Obviously, they're blaming Gavin Williamson, but they're also blaming Boris, understandably. And I get it, which is why I'm happy to do a video railing the Conservatives next week. I might call them snacks. I mean, I'm not. I don't. Yeah, I can rail the Conservatives. I can do that. I know that a number of people are having issues now also because the way to apply for university is through UCAS, which is a site. And yeah, no, it keeps crashing. They can't do it, which is really, really funny. That also is how you get your A-level clips. And no grades. No one's able to do that either, which I think is even funnier. I saw a lot of the videos of young students talking about their grades, and I feel really sorry for them for being downgraded. But it's when they said that they hadn't prepared at all year round, and I thought, how's a teacher supposed to give you an estimated grade anyway? Even if the teacher could have given you an estimated grade, you've given them nothing to work with. What do you think?
I think the whole idea is absolutely fucking shit, but that's because the US, in terms of like standardized anything, is usually garbage. We have standardized testing, but it's so messed up.
Okay, would you like to have one additional factor to this algorithm that shows how it's utter bullshit from the
race?
offset? No, one of the factors is determined by your postcode. So where you live does in fact determine how shit your grade is.
This guy lives in this place. He sucks.
Yeah, you could have. I mean, I'm sure they're not going to be massive cunts in this regard, but I'm sure no straight A students getting punished because they're from, I don't know, some shithole. Like, British people in the chat, name every shithole you can think of, and it's there, okay? It's a terrible idea. It's fantastically amusing. Because now Labour, the leader of the opposition, Sir Keir Starmer, he has a legitimate reason to hammer them, and he can batter them about for it. You don't have to focus on coronavirus for a little bit, because there is some quarantine stuff going on, but we're okay. We're not back in it just yet. Thank fuck for that. I'd rather not lose my work yet. Leicester, sure. We'll go with Leicester. You're right, Disconnect. Leicester. But he actually has. I get to actually for once, because I normally, I don't know, the Conservatives. It's always when it was May, it was just it was embarrassing. With Boris, it's really funny because I like Boris, but he's not doing a good job at the moment, and it's really funny. See, fantastic, Middlesbrough, livable. Oh, Darlow, Jesus. See, you guys got this. You slough. Hounslow.
I don't understand any of these words or what they mean.
They're places, yeah. Is Darlow short for Darlington? Is that what it is? I can't remember.
Okay.
Borough is Middlesbrough, I think. Hounslow's near London, I believe, or in London.
Fucking Slough.
Loughborough.
Sure it is. Yeah, of course.
It's another place. All boroughs in East London are shitholes, even the wealthy. Yeah, true. But yes, basically, if you live in a shithole, your kids have been downgraded. And because I obviously I've mentioned I have a bit of a bias with Boris. I do like him, but I will happily sit and say he's got this wrong, and the system, the algorithm, is a crock of shit. I think it's fantastic. We
as a person who works with algorithms,
go on.
Nobody knows what that word means.
I think they've misused the word algorithm. They've appropriated it to suit their own need, and in the context of what they're nah. It's very amusing to me anyway. It's probably the only thing. I mean, minus the additional countries being added to the list for quarantine, which amuses me. Because my postman, he told me he's going on holiday for 2 weeks. I don't think Greece is on the list yet, though. But if it is, it'd be very funny, because I know how much he's been wanting to go sit in the sun after spending all week walking around in the sun. This will be amusing. Beyond that, there hasn't been much going on, really, that's why there was only one video, because there just hasn't. I'm trying to find topics that I think will do well, and the SMP, I'm watching them, and they're just absolutely fucking it up. The more recent one is money based, and I'm like, I could do another video on this, but I think I'll just not. I'll do something on the Conservatives, or Labour again are quite quiet as well. I'm still waiting for that report to come out. It's just very quiet. It's that time of year, really, sadly, which is why I figured Biden and Harris would take up the bulk.
Aren't your parliament supposed to be on break or something?
They should be. Summer recess, I believe, for them, but I don't know.
We just started our recess.
I don't think
to the chagrin of many.
I don't think under the circumstances they'll be on recess. I'll be honest, because under the circumstances and still with the issue of coronavirus, no, they're not going to be able to do that. Oh, actually, with lockdown, more places are finally open. Gigs can happen. Stadiums can now have fans. And you can go bowling. There are more social activities. That's great news. Sad thing is, I got my money back for the Machine Head gig I was going to go to this year. I still got the tickets. It got cancelled now. They put out a statement they cancelled that. I was very upset about that because they've even said they're not sure they'll be able to tour again yet, because the money they lost because of lockdown. They lost so much money. And I get it. I really do. They were hoping to make it back on this tour, and I was hoping to go to that. That does. But it's great news that people can start doing these things again. That's great news. Hopefully that means later on in the year it'll be alright. Never mind. But yeah, it's been pretty quiet on this end. Just mostly the odd muck up here and there. I did see, like, the top article I saw earlier that amused me was on Cohen's book.
Michael Cohen?
Yeah, his book about golden showers and Trump never wanting to be president for life or something.
Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me.
Sounds like somebody trying to get out of prison.
But I was gonna say, Michael Flynn, though, like, if I had to, say anything about a person who honestly, probably not very trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that will literally say anything.
Yeah, under the circumstances, he's been proven to lie already.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about this Biden Harris thing.
Sure. So what's the great news, Trups?
He's finally chosen a fucking VP.
Oh, yeah, but has he been officially announced as the candidate yet, though?
No.
Then what the fuck is going on? I'm confused.
That happens next week, but there's no one else really in the running. So, I mean, honestly.
Wait, did I say Michael Flynn? Okie? I thought it said Cohen.
No, you said Cohen. You said Cohen.
What the fuck's he talking about then?
I fucking don't know.
Carry on.
But no, he gets announced probably next week because no one else is doing it.
Okay.
And let's see. Well, let's put it this way. The Democrats are of mixed opinions about this one. Harris obviously was the obvious pick because, obviously it's the what's it called? The intersectional candidate, right?
Yes.
And it's the woman, obviously. And yeah, all those things. All those things together apparently make a worthy vice presidential candidate. But we're going to ignore the fact that, sorry, I burped. We're going to ignore the fact that the person is majorly fucked. Like, as a person. When we had the discussion last time, do you remember the conversations that we explained about like what was wrong with her? Do you
I
remember any of those?
sadly I don't.
Okay.
I know she's a hypocrite and a bit of a
Yes.
snake.
Yes.
But
She is a
that's
notorious flip-flopper.
yeah, because when you mentioned before we started, the we were talking about like the fact she'd gone all in on Biden, and now she's well running mate.
Right. Well, she made some really crass comments at at Biden. That's just, that's just one thing to say, but the other would be the fact that um she used to, what's the word that they used, abused the individuals in her constituency when she was a prosecutor. She basically withheld evidence that would otherwise prove their innocence in order to keep slave labor uh, via the prison system available,
Is
and
that
that was brought up
is that
by
slave
Tulsi
labor?
Gabbard.
Is that slave labor thing the work when people work in prison to like exist? They always have to work.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not. I can. Interesting. Very interesting.
Right? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually is.
The
That
part
is.
that pisses me off more, honestly, is that, well, apparently people think this is a good move, and the media is basically lying to everyone's face.
How are they lying?
So the media is saying that this was a great idea.
Harris Biden. Well, isn't this the case that Biden didn't he say he wouldn't serve a full term anyway? It's basically
Well,
Harris.
so no, that's what everyone else is saying, and I think that they're right. I think that they're honestly pretty on point when they say that. I mean, look, when he picked this candidate, he wasn't picking a vice president. He was picking his successor. Realistically,
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And the scariest thing is that recently, I believe it was today, fucking Hillary Clinton said, "Hey, by the way, if you need anything, I'll help you."
You know what? Keep that blood money away from this election, please.
Please, for the love of God, don't do it.
It wouldn't be advisable anyway.
hmm No, definitely not advisable. Um, but that's what we're looking at right now. Now, what's interesting is the left and the right both have been kind of going off and enjoying the memes that have come from this,
Mm-hmm.
because, well, let's put it this way: nothing makes conservatives and, by contrast, Republicans equally like on board with each other than good memes. And in this case, the good memes, um, they keep calling her the top cop,
Why top cop?
which, yeah, which, I mean, let's think about this for a second. Remember what kind of world we're living in over here?
Oh, dystopia. Yes.
So all the things that we're going on over here with all the protests about cops,
Mm-hmm.
well, that is indeed a thing, and the top cop apparently wasn't a deal breaker for Biden.
That's interesting. Actually, question in the chat. Someone else mentioned it here. Great Sky Troll anti-drama. I would have gone for Tulsi Gabbard. Why didn't he go for Gabbard? Trump.
Why didn't he go for Gabbard?
Yeah, I mean, she's a pretty good candidate, to be fair.
Um,
He chose a snake. And I'm not to
Because
be.
Gabbard isn't appreciated by the left.
I guess perhaps she's fails the purity test. Okay. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, Harris. I'm sure Harris is fantastic at her job. I'm sure. I don't know anything about her actual policies or anything. So all I've seen is her say one thing, and now in the sense of being a right cunt to Biden. But now she's smiling, looking into his eyes with her fake doughy eyes and a smile. And I'm just like, I don't know, a bit confused. But then it's politics, isn't it? It's supposed to look good for the camera, but sadly, on that same camera, we've seen you act like a snake. So I don't know what to think here.
Well, okay, so one of the biggest complaints that Republicans have levied against her is how she treated Kavanaugh. So she basically rose to like the attention of the people during the Kavanaugh hearings. She laid into him. I mean, brutally so, like uncalled for. And she would say things like, well, she was on board with fucking what's his face, the lady, the accuser.
Christine Blasey Ford.
Thank you. And yeah, they Kamala Harris was basically saying how much she agreed with that one. The known liar, the one that we know now has actually said no, I did it wasn't true, it wasn't real.
It's really interesting because, and this might be I mean, this is you are now Kamala Harris. That is, you are trying to become one of the most powerful people in a democracy, but in how you rose to prominence, you've contradicted it by listen and believe when it suits you. That's not how this works. It's always going to be a case of Tulsi and Yang. Yeah, I actually quite liked Andrew Yang, to be fair.
I didn't, but that was because I thought that he was just too much full of shit.
No. I like my politicians to be full, just enough. Just enough. No, but in all seriousness, if you're building a thing to want to be in high office, like this particular high office anyway, on the back of moral outrage, believing instead of due process and your democracy, the very fabric and foundation of it, then I'll be honest, you're going to get called out for it later. The media are going to obviously there are going to be certain wings within the media that are going to ignore it when you're called out for it, and that's fine because they tried 4 years ago and look what happened then. It'll be very interesting. Actually, I'd love to see these debates. Get
I would too, but I don't think we're gonna get it.
I want to see Harris against Pence. I want to see Harris and Pence.
Like I honestly don't think we're gonna get.
They can do a we had a picture on the screen of social distancing. We can still have that, okay?
I mean, yeah, but I still don't think they're gonna let us. That's the thing.
Sad times.
Because right now they just don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I'd heard about this. Why?
That was we had talked about it a little bit last week.
Yeah, I don't get why you don't want that. You need to prove your candidate can do the job. And someone in the chat correctly, British Scorpion, if Biden wins, he won't last a full term. If you don't believe your candidate, your best candidate to go against Trump, can't even survive a term or do a debate, then what do you think makes you think he can run the country? You can't run that against the idea of but Trump. It's not going to work. That's not going to. Oh, I feel like they've done this because they know they're going to lose and they're going to wait 4 years to put Ocasio-Cortez and Harris together. By the way, someone did send me a meme of Cortez earlier, so I thought I'd just well, not a meme. It's more of a statement of fact in all seriousness. So I'll read it to you. It's a picture of Cortez sat on some very mouldy-looking concrete steps. Women like AOC deserve to be VP. Youngest ever congresswoman. Underdog, startup founder, battles imposter syndrome, activist, working class, shuts down trolls, bartender, educator. I'll just crop the image so I won't have the name of the person in it, and I'll just put it in our little chat so you can see it. You'll love it. There it is. Where's Discord? So you have the full scope of. You know, I'm just gonna go Trups and I. I'll DM it to you instead. It's easier. Yeah. Okay. So question then. Say that Biden is ordained as the candidate. What happens now then? If there are not going to be any debates, how is anyone going to campaign without this? You know, you need a debate. Even we've had to do debates, and they're pathetic, but we have them. It's even with an election within like 5-6 weeks, we get them in because you have to have those debates. What happens?
So I think it's just gonna be fine. Like, I think it's just gonna happen. Like, I don't think there's a rule that they're gonna follow that says like you have to have these debates in. At least I know they're going to have some form of debate because they were arguing about it recently. Remember, they were talking about how Trump wanted to move up one of the debate times to before early voting started, but they can't do that because, they can't do it because Joe Biden's team won't let him because he's literally incompetent. Unfortunately, what we'll see as a debate is more likely to be something regarding Pence and Harris. Like, that one is already like out there and like planned and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know if drinking. I don't know if we're gonna see a genuine presidential debate.
Sad times.
It really is, because we really do. We need to see policy argued, because right now, I mean, Fury, you don't need debates. The media will tell you everything. Yeah, I get it, but we need to see their policies. We need to know what we're actually electing.
I do want to quickly just pounce on something where some Renovatio, the left do not believe in merit. I tend to disagree, but only insofar as to say some within the left don't believe in merit. That's just me being picky because I don't think it's right to lump all people who are leftists under this banner of not being able to understand meritocracy or merit. Or
well, the thing is they are technically right, because the left has adopted policies that literally agree that the idea of meritocracy is racist.
Okay, again, this is an America thing, isn't it? Yeah. I'll rephrase mine. It doesn't totally apply to the UK just yet. Thank you.
And Biden won't debate because some people have called him sundowning, which is apparently it's a term that means that when you get older, it takes a little. You pass out earlier. Let's just put it that way. You wind down, and so these debates would happen at like 7 o'clock and go until like 11. I don't know if this man can stay awake long enough to do that.
Isn't he like around the same age as Trump though?
He's older than Trump.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's 77. He's only a few years older than Trump.
Trump's only like 72 or something like that.
74.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's only a few years different. Granted, Trump's sort of operating in a different sort of sphere for a long time. So probably doesn't. He probably just goes for just sleeps like a cone head vertically and has blood infusions. Mr. Super.
No, that's
PhD.
Hillary. That's Hillary, silly. But she sleeps in a coffin.
Yeah, wrong way. Biden confirmed the debates weeks ago. It was Trump that stole. Is that true? Because I don't know.
No. Trump didn't Trump didn't stall. Yes, Biden agreed on the debates weeks ago. Both sides did. And then they realized that early voting would happen before that first debate. So, Trump and his campaign basically said, "Hey, why don't we move up or add another debate before then, so that
Oh,
everybody could actually see you for once, and actually see you debate your policy? Because even still, to this day, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do."
that's interesting because I've noticed with much like with Boris, during the election last year, we didn't see much of him until we had to see him, and I'm getting this impression that perhaps those within running Biden's campaign are considering doing something similar. Whereas Trump's top dog,
Yeah.
he can just do whatever he wants anyway. Okie Native, Biden's new ad, build back better. Isn't that just make America great?
Yes, it is. Biden is literally accidentally or intentionally, not really sure which, honestly, is using Trump's slogans. And they called attention to this. Biden wants to basically pull on all the things that Trump did that made him popular, but not be Trump. And it's impossible because he keeps pulling the wrong shit.
But it's just like the I had this discussion about some of the words that came out of Biden's mouth. Now, yes, Trump has said stupid things, but I expect him to say stupid things. I do not expect it to come from Biden for the most part, but then he said things that are quite racially, yeah, yeah.
He says that a lot too.
But I'm only going on the things that I've seen the videos of. I don't know much about his policy yet. I don't, because I genuinely haven't seen anything from his camp yet to say what they'll do. I get it. Your campaigns are more pantomime, showman. You know, you say you're going to do
Yeah.
big things. You know, we're going to make America, and then obviously not great again because that's racist, of course. You'll say you're going to do more infrastructure. You're going to, since you've got Kamala Harris on the ticket, you've got to. I say pander, but it's not. It's you want to elevate, or say you intend to elevate communities that are disenfranchised or, harmfully impacted under the evil
Yeah,
Republican
what's it
policy.
called? Disproportionately
Social,
affected
yeah, by harmful Republican social policy or domestic policy, whatever it's called.
by everything.
Sure,
The
but
the fucking minorities, according to Democrats, are disenfranchised by life.
yeah. So the part I find fascinating about this is when and this is how I know they're not really going to get, even if let's say Biden wins, based on what other Democrats were trying to achieve, their intention is to just spend and spend and spend. That will not solve your problem, and you know it. But that's what you think. It makes you look popular in the here and now, because then you don't have to live with the consequence of what happens when you have another rather significant crash.
Well,
Faulty.
the most interesting part is going to be, so remember how I said that Hillary had kind of been like, "Hey, by the way, if you need me, I'm here."
Right.
Okay, so that happened like today,
Mhm.
and some people are like, at that, the thought of it is just, please do it, please do it, do it. We already know Trump is going to do well. Make certain of it.
Mhm.
Because if you dare touch a campaign with Hillary's name on it, all the people who voted for Trump will vote Trump again, just to keep Hillary out of the White House or anywhere near it, because people hate her that much. They genuinely, like, I know people say that Trump and Boris are evil. People actually believe that Hillary is evil.
But she's not one of the lizard people.
I don't know. They say that, but anyone who could ever confirm it died. You know, like people do? Question mark.
Yeah.
You know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Don't kill me.
We've got one, boys.
Yeah. But that's it, right? I mean, if you dare touch the Biden campaign, it's already fucked. I want to point out that no one should think that even with the announcement of Harris, that Biden's position is anywhere but fucked.
I'm very interested about. So, Biden is going to win the nomination.
Democratic National Convention. Yeah.
Sure. He didn't feature early on. In fact, he turned up quite late into it. I didn't think he was going to enter originally, which is why I thought Bernie would win. That's not to say I believe Bernie could beat Trump. I just felt that he at least was upfront about his intention and social policy, and that I think, that seemed a bit more interesting. And like a more when the idea of a debate came up for me, I thought I'd love to see Bernie Trump. I think it'd be a fantastic debate. I think it'd be very interesting to debate policy.
Because I would like to see capitalism and democratic socialism have a front stage kind of argument that would kind of be fun.
Then I saw, Biden did turn up, and I don't think he was the only one that kind of shat on Bernie, and that put Bernie in a bit of an odd position. And sadly, he got one. Biden did, when he had to, he did turn up and say in those shows, he didn't stand out, but he did say enough that, people did notice him. But we all knew from the offset, because of who backs him anyway, quite large businesses for that matter, he was always going to win the nomination anyway. It was never going to be, with all the young people that were going for Bernie. Do you remember the hashtags that were trending when Bernie lost? With all the people that backed him to try and get him there, and you realise that Biden could just turn up with all these massive donors and just see ya. And I felt,
snap you out of
existence. And I felt bad. I felt a little bit bad for them, the young voters, because they genuinely did try to get Bernie to, because he got screwed the first time, no doubt. And that's not to say I thought he could beat Trump then. I wasn't too sure, to be honest. I felt he had the best chance.
I still don't think he can. He could have, but he would have put up a better fight.
Yeah, maybe, and that's what I was interested in. Also, I felt that he probably would not have resorted to just attack, which gave Trump ammo in the debates. Like, what did he say? The first thing I'm going to do when I get elected is put you in prison. I mean, that was really funny to me. Shame he never did it. But Biden is the DNC's best hope of becoming president again. And I know Trump is he's an absolute joke. He really is. It's very, but your best, you criticize him for not being presidential. You criticize him for not, because he's been impeached, because he's corrupt, because all these things that keep getting thrown at him and blah blah blah. But he's still there, and your best hope is a guy who apparently is more presidential, but has been caught more recently being a bit more racist than Trump, which I find to be quite and there's a little corruption in there as well, but we won't go into that too much.
Well, I mean, the problem is that this has been the kind of shoe-in conversation whenever I get into like Democrat versus Republican like economic policy. Okay. So if Democrats like to see themselves as the party of the poor, and they like to say that Republicans are the party of the rich, it's from Democrats, what would provide a bigger political incentive for your constituents to be rich or poor?
That's a good point, actually.
If Democrats claim that they are the party of the poor, then wouldn't it be politically expedient for them to keep their constituents poor? The answer is yes.
Before you continue, alt-centrist, paleo-futurist, anarcho-Jacobite. My issue is that she brought up valid accusations of sexual by Joe Biden and to further her political career, she conveniently forgot and that she has courted radical BLM while abusing the prison system. I did not know about the forgetting of the accusations levied at Joe Biden. That's interesting.
No, it's true. Kamala Harris said that the Tara Reid story, she believes her.
Really?
Yes, but then forgot.
Huh. Okay.
Then forgot that she agreed. Or, conveniently.
Of course. That's interesting.
And I actually I put up a poll on Twitter, but no one sees it because I don't have followers. It's fine. And no one shares shit. That's fine. I had 5 votes though on the thing, and I'm curious because I see there are some people who disagree with my characterization of Trump. But my question was, if you had to choose one, do you think Donald Trump is an idiot or a mastermind? Both is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to pose that question here as well, because he can't be both. But if he's an idiot, if he can't pass college statistics, as Mr. Super Pat G had said, but he's going to debate economic politics. Then, okay, but is he a idiot or is he a mastermind? Because if you answer he's an idiot, then you can't say that the things that he does are latent with connotation or unintentional conversation or unintentional dog whistles, because literally it's not possible. He's stupid. He can't think that far ahead. That would require some level of forethought, which means that he would have to plan it, which then makes him smart. So he can only be one or the other. Is he dumb or is he a mastermind? Why be smart when you can pay someone else to be smart for you? Also true. That is why presidents and what's the word? Prime ministers have advisors. And Mr. Super Pat G, that's not one of the options. A provocateur, by the way. I didn't realize Milo Yiannopoulos made a cameo in the White House.
I do think he qualifies as that, though, to be fair.
I mean, he is, but it wasn't one of the options. He's either dumb or a mastermind. He's a provocateur, sure, but that means that he has some level of thought.
I'll be honest. If you think, if you think about how he's, prior to politics and all that, lived one's life, up down, but then stayed semi-relevant for most of it and busy, active, and you could argue successful in the grander scheme. Yeah, probably. I don't want to edge towards mastermind, but if they're the only 2 options, I want to lean a little more in that direction. Because if it's dumb, oh my life, the fluke of it all.
Right. Well, because here's the thing, right? If he's dumb, then the American people had voted him in, and then the Republicans have started to kowtow to him. Because remember, Trump didn't actually expect to win the presidency. The Republicans didn't want him to win. The establishment did not want Trump to win. But he did. He's everything that the old establishment wasn't, right? He's not a war hawk, so he's not George Bush. And he's not Obama, he's not Clinton. The wars in the Middle East, he's been trying to pull people out of. He's been trying to pull our troops out of there, which is strictly against the establishment that existed, feeling as if they needed to be the world police, which has led us into multiple Middle Eastern wars over the last 40 years. I'm sorry, 50 years, because 1970s. But he also has been able to bridge the gap between North Korea and South Korea. he also recently just got the UAE and Israel to sign a deal with one another
As a
that basically rational. Oh, sorry. What was the word they use? It's not common. Basically, make common the conversation between Arab nations and Israel. I forget the fucking word.
wasn't that why didn't Israel name a village Trump Heights, or is that because of something else?
I have no idea, but that's a great idea.
I'd heard about
Uh,
this because it was named in honor of friendship with Israel. I wasn't sure if that was because of this or because of something else. I know it might have been because he also moved the ambassador place to Jerusalem and recognised it as the capital, which it is, not Tel Aviv. My mistake. That UAE thing,
not Jerusalem either.
that UAE thing is a huge deal as far as peace goes. I did put a link to an
Oh
article,
yeah.
the official statement on the Trump put out the statement on Twitter.
Mhm.
With Benjamin Netanyahu and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed
Mhm.
on the normalization of
That's the
relations
word.
between. I'm reading it directly, by the way. It's like the third line. I'll
Thank you.
link. I'll link it in the
I've only been
chat.
hearing it on the radio, so I forget the words.
I'll link it in the chat.
Thanks.
For anyone else interested in reading it. It is to me really interesting. It's a big deal, and I know many jumped on this afterwards, saying, how could you do so well in foreign policy but suck on domestic? How about we just focus on one win at a time, please?
Well, honestly, I don't think that we're doing that bad on domestic, because if you remember, a lot of the things that he campaigned on was America first, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we need to handle our own things. In his
Yeah,
campaign, he talked about how we were reliant on China, and
yeah.
then COVID hit, and we were shown how right he was.
No one ever says that though.
Right? No, no one ever says, that yes, he was correct when he said that China controls a vast amount of our imports, our very, very crucial imports,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't produce them here, and that's a terrible tragedy. And we're seeing the results of that. I think that's both foreign and domestic policy, because we haven't regulated our companies enough to stop them from outsourcing jobs to basically, I guess, as you would consider it from the World Trade Organization's standpoint, a quote unquote developing nation, because apparently China is designated a developing nation. Go figure.
Right.
One of the earliest fucking civilizations in human history. Um, and so we're looking at the results right now of a pandemic. We're not looking at the results of domestic policy. And these two on screen, these fucking Biden and Harris, have slammed the current economy as a direct result of Trump's ineptitude, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Now they could say that yes, okay, so he dismantled a branch of the CDC that could have handled pandemics. Okay, maybe, but we also had a shortage of PPE dating back to 2010. So, that doesn't sound like Trump's fault, and that fucking group was implemented all throughout the last couple of years, the last term of Obama's term. So what didn't they do? What didn't they do? They didn't do their job, so they got fired, right? And okay, so then you could say, oh, the federal government didn't react well enough to COVID. Well, no one did, actually. No one knew what COVID was going to do, because it's a novel virus. Novel, new, right? No one knew. And if you think Trump did a bad job, I mean, you can ask every other fucking country that's struggling, right? I don't like bringing up New Zealand because they have one of the strictest rules for going in and out of their country. Plus, island, right?
Mm.
That's why Hawaii is not suffering that bad. Um, Shocker, I know. Um, but, I mean, people like to stack up all these things and just say it's true. But there are other facets to this that apparently detractors of the current administration just they don't want to accept that it happens. So it's the same thing. Okay, Biden can't complete a sentence. True or false? Well, it's sometimes true, sometimes false. He has moments where he says a full sentence, and sometimes he literally can't seem to find the words. Now, I have that same problem. So maybe that's not an indication of, the quality of his mind. But then some of the sentences that he does complete are horribly, horribly racist. But that's not a game changer for anybody. Okay. All right, fine. We'll ignore that. Then he picks a vice presidential pick, right? Kamala Harris, who has been found to literally threaten people who don't send their kids to school with jail. Withheld evidence in her time as California District Attorney, and withheld evidence so that she could keep a prison slave labor operation going. And during this whole time, in the last, what the fuck, what are we in? Okay, so the last 3 or so months, we have had an entire country under siege by individuals who believe that police brutality and that the system is rigged against black and brown people. And yet we just basically said, hey, this person who we know has already abused their power as a judgment force, we're going to put them in one of the highest offices in the land. That sounds like a great idea.
It reeks of poor decisions.
Right. So this is the Democratic Party right now. Oh, by the way, we're also not going to mention the whole Tara Reade thing, and we're not going to mention the Kamala Harris literally called Joe Biden racist to his fucking face. We won't talk about how Harris basically bombarded Brett Kavanaugh with basically unfounded allegations during his hearing. Yeah, we're just going to ignore all that. Why? Because it's convenient. And because Orange Man bad. Right? That's it. That's what it boils down to. You don't like him. And so you will say anything and everything to make it so somebody else is even a modicum better in the media. And so you will ignore the records of both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Joe Biden, by the way, one of the oldest people who has sat in a position in government for over 50 years. None of these things have changed. None of these things that they're rioting about. None of those things have changed. Police brutality, any of those. Joe Biden has been in Congress for 50 years. Why has nothing changed?
Was Biden only ever a congressman? I thought he was a...
Oh, he was a senator for the longest time. Senator from Delaware.
Oh, you said congressman 50 years. I was a bit confused.
Yeah, no, he's been a congressman for a long-ass time.
Damn.
And that's what we're looking at. And then when you look at what their complaints are of Trump. Oh, he used mean words when addressing Kamala Harris. He called her nasty. Called her a mad woman. Yeah. She was. And? Like, so what? That doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. He says mean things. He He doesn't address the issues. And what issues do you want him to address? He's the president. Are you sure that the problems that you're facing aren't something more suited to, I don't know, your governor? I don't know. I get so pissed off when I keep hearing all the fucking shit about Trump. One of the things that I saw on a meme on Facebook was like, you know, this person, he's trying to steal the election by refusing to fund the post office to handle the universal mail-in vote. Yes, because he thinks that universal mail-in voting is possible to lead to fraud. Why would he sign that?
People do that?
Yes.
That doesn't sound right.
Biden authored over 330 bills. He's a good legislator. Now, just because you sign bills doesn't make you a good legislator. It means that you put your name on shit really well.
Well, I'm glad he turned up at least.
When you sponsor bills, then I can call you a good legislator.
Okay.
But also, if we're going to call that, that means that over the 50 years that he did it, so he did about 60 or six bills a year. Authored bills or signed bills? You're confusing me now. I see you said authored, but I'm pretty sure it was actually signed.
I feel like you're going to get dragged into a very lengthy argument about semantics.
Well, I actually don't know, because I'm pretty sure that number is signed. I know what he said authored, but I'm pretty sure the actual number is 330. He signed, not authored. So I'm more or less thinking that his information is incorrect.
Before we finish, Biden made it so I had to stand in the rain and watch the buses drive by with the rich white kids. Kamala Harris. Thank you, Okie Native, for the $5 donation. I don't understand what he wrote.
That's what Kamala Harris said about Joe Biden.
Oh, is that what? Okay, yeah.
Joe Biden was against busing.
Ah. I like buses.
No, I'm sorry. He was for busing.
I like buses. Thank you, Socky, by the way. It's very generous as well. I'm getting sleepy, oddly enough. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about with regards to this subject?
I mean, I could go on more about it, but right now I'm looking at basically the worst pick they could have done. Amy Klobuchar would have been a better choice.
I recognize that name. That would have been a good choice.
Minnesota.
Yeah, that would have been a good choice.
Minnesota senator. She actually lasted longer in the primaries too.
Oh, I do remember the name, but I don't remember much of the policy, sadly.
She's a mean lady too. She was the one who yelled at her staffers and then ate salad with a comb.
Lol.
Remember that?
Okay.
Well, that happened.
Is there anything you would like to shill, Mr. Trupslup?
Yes, I just posted a video right before this stream started. It had to do with a bit of news that has some semblance of personal feelings. I'm gonna post it here in the chat. Oh, well, okay. It's about a law called Sammy's Law that I think is pretty it's pretty important that that everybody takes a look at that and endorses something like that for their states. I think it's something that everyone could agree on. For
okay.
Once.
Well, I will give that a listen tomorrow. Thank you very much. It's about time we made a video.
Yes. Thank you all of you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys sticking through with us, and I think that's it. Meg, do you have anything to shill before we go?
Absolutely. Fuck all.
All right then. Well, thank you all for joining us. Say good night, Meg.